What is up, guys? It is DMG here, and today we are going to be looking at the anti-meta formation for FIFA 21 along with the tactics and instructions that go along with it. So as we all know, the meta for FIFA 21 as well as previous FIFAs has been sit back, drop back, one depth, counterattack, 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, all of that very fun defense-minded stuff. So what I have found is this very attack-minded formation, something that's very, very fun to use. You may concede about 4 or 5 goals a game, but you're going to score about 10 of them. So either way, you're going to be scoring lots of goals, you're going to be having fun, and you know, that's what FIFA should be about. So this is the team that I use, not the formation, just the players that I have them set up in for max chemistry and all of that. So the formation in question is the 3-4-2-1. What makes this really nice is instead of wingers, you actually have left and right forwards that kind of act as wingers slash strikers. In my opinion, they're really nice because they're not dedicated to the wings, yet they're not super smushed up and bunched up through the middle either. It's really, really nice to have that kind of that flexible player that can drift out wide, that can go more narrow, that can score goals, that can provide width. And again, that's what in my opinion is very, very nice about this, is those two forwards, right? That left forward and that right forward. So starting with the defensive aspect of it, we are going to be going balanced. We have about 4 width because again, we only have 3 at the back, so we want to make those 3 center backs the bulk of the defense, have that be kind of pretty smushed up and bunched up, so then they can be a little bit closer together, so then no through balls can get between them. And then we are going to be playing on 8th depth. We are going to be playing a very, very high depth. Now in terms of it being 7 or 8, 9, 10, it doesn't really matter as long as the depth is very high. And the reason for that is because we don't have defensive mids in this formation. We will have a center mid who is on stay back while attacking, and we'll get into the instructions and all that later. But again, for the 8 depth, what this does is it makes the defense and the midfield come closer together. That way there's not that large gap between them, and that way you don't actually have to have a defensive mid. For the offensive style, we have balanced. You can go long ball, which I've seen a lot of people do just to create a little bit more runs, but me personally, I like balance just because I can send them on runs myself. I feel as though balance has worked, and obviously when you are trying new tactics, new formations, etc., it's going to be important to have it on balanced initially, so then you can just kind of make adjustments as you go. For the width, we're going to have that on 7, similar to the depth. It doesn't really matter if you have it on 7, 8, 9, or 10, as long as you want the width a little bit wider than it typically would be, because we want those left and right mids to really be hugging the sidelines. For players in the box, I have that on 6, and to be honest, this one is a little bit up to you guys more than anything. I just prefer 6, and you know, this is an attacking formation. This is supposed to be one that gets you a lot of goals, so it would make sense why it would be better to have more players in the box. But again, this one is a little bit more of a personal preference and something that you guys need to decide for yourself. It's also worth noting that even though these tactics work really well for me, they may not be great for you guys. There are going to be people that try these tactics out and it's going to be exactly what they want. There are going to be a few people that have to tweak them just a little bit, and then there are going to be people who literally hate this formation. They can't use these tactics, everything is bad. So keep that in mind if it doesn't work initially for you, that you may have to tweak some things and you may have to play a few games with it to get the hang of it. So moving on to the instructions, we have the center backs here who are just going to be on default everything. We don't really need to change that, and that is that, right? Everything's just going to be on default and balanced. For the 2 center mids, I have one of them on stay back while attacking, cover center, and then I have the other one on balanced attack, which is the default, and cover center. So the reason why I have one of them on stay back while attacking is obviously to have a little bit more defensive support, but along with that, we obviously don't want too many people in the attack because then it's going to be too crowded, and then obviously you'll be susceptible to a counterattack. So it's obviously helpful to have one on stay back while attacking, not just for the defensive aspect, but for the attacking aspect as well. And then we have the other one on balanced, because what that does is it provides late runs into the box, and then whatever side that the center mid who is on balanced is on, they're going to form a really nice triangle with the right mid and the right forward. Now, it doesn't matter what side the center mid who's on balanced is on. It doesn't matter what side the center mid who's on stay back while attacking is on. It is completely up to you guys. It doesn't have to be a balance on the right, stay back while attacking on the left. It can be switched. So again, that's something that you guys can just decide for yourself. Next up, we have the left and right mids, and we have both of them on comeback on defense, and that is it. And again, it is both the left and right mids. So what this does is obviously provides some defensive stability. We don't have any left and right backs. We don't have any defensive mids. We need a little bit more help defensively. So when we have them on comeback on offense, they're obviously going to come back and help out defensively, and they play as left and right wing backs more than left and right backs, which in my opinion is pretty nice, because then they can kind of shift into the middle a little bit more. They're not, you know, sitting at the corner flag. They're going to be a little bit higher up, so then hopefully they can be involved in the defending play a little bit more. Moving on to the attack, we have the three forwards. We have the left and right forward on stay central, get in behind, and stay forward. And then we have the central striker on stay central, stay forward, and target man. So the reason why we have the left and right forwards on get in behind is because they will be acting almost, like I said, as wingers and as strikers. So we want them kind of making those late runs into the box. They're not going to be as late as one of your center mids who's going to be coming in, but you know, they are still going to be kind of running off of the central striker. And the reason why we have that central striker on target man is because we want him to sit back just a little bit so then he can receive the ball and then distribute to the left and right forward who are making those runs down. But along with that, if we had him on false 9, he wouldn't always be making runs into the box. So with target man, not only does he receive the ball, but then he also gets forward as well. He still plays as that striker. So lastly, I do want to talk about the types of players that you want in these positions. So starting with the center backs, you essentially can go with whoever you want. I would recommend some players who are a little bit quicker, so good acceleration, and then have good agility and balance. That's not to say someone like Varane would not do well, because even though, you know, his agility and balance are bad, he's still going to be obviously very, very good. But if you do find yourself conceding a lot of goals, if you do find yourself that the center backs are not in the best positions possible, then again, I would recommend making sure that they are a little bit quicker, they have a little bit better agility and balance, so then they can shift from spot to spot, and then that way, obviously, they can defend a little bit better. For the two center mids, these guys need to be good box-to-box and good all-around players. Obviously, the one who is on balanced attack can be a little bit more attack-minded. The one who is a little bit better defensively can be on stay back while attacking. But saying that, that doesn't mean that you go strictly for a defensive-minded player in the stay back while attacking spot, and you only go for an attacking minded player. Okay. You do need the all-around types of players in the midfield. Even though Goretzka is on stay back while attacking, there will be times where he does actually get forward, and then Nakata will be the one staying back. Obviously, the player who is on stay back while attacking will stay back most of the time, just as the player who is on balanced attack will be getting forward most of the time. But they do switch occasionally, around, you know, a few times a game. So it is worth having that defensive-minded player be able to get forward, and then that forward who, or that player who does get forward, be able to defend a little bit. And keep in mind when that happens that you can also look for that triangle on either side. Again, Nakata is the one going forward, so that triangle on the right side is mostly going to be available most of the time. But when Goretzka is the one going forward, then that triangle is going to be available on the left side. It's also worth mentioning that when your center mid who is on balanced attack does go forward, there are times where he will literally sprint all the way forward into the goal. They will be literally further up than the forward. So when that happens, it's best to recognize that and make sure that you are not caught out in the wing. So for example, I would have the ball with Golovin, I would have the ball with Ben Yedder on that right sideline, and then Nakata would literally just be sprinting forward for absolutely no reason. And when that happens, there there is no one for me to pass it to. The next closest person is going to be Klosterman or my right center back, because most likely Ben Yedder is going to be marked, and then someone is going to be on me, and then also the sideline will be acting as an extra defender. So obviously when that happens, you can drop it to your center back, but what would be better than that is just to avoid that situation altogether. Recognize when that center mid is running forward with no hesitation whatsoever, and again, when you recognize that, that means you can just kind of drop it back, you can switch it to the other side, and you can just wait for him to drop back into position. Moving on to the left and right mids, and these guys have to be similar to the center mids, where they can go forward, they can go back, you know, they can shoot, they can do everything, but more important than that, they have to be essentially your best players, really, right? Because again, they're going to be defending, they're going to be going forward. In fact, they actually get a good amount of goals and assists. There was only one game that I played with this formation, with these tactics, where Davies or Golovin did not get a goal or an assist. Literally only one game where that did not happen. Now, obviously in this case, Davies and Golovin are both more defensive minded, so these aren't even the best players for these spots. I would want players who are actually able to shoot, so someone like Inform Florenzi would be perfect. Someone like Atal would also be pretty good because of his 5-star weak foot and his decent shooting abilities. But again, you do want those players who can defend and who can go forward. It's also important to know that because they're going to be sprinting up and down the pitch literally the entire game, that it's good to have some subs on the bench ready for them, because they will surely be exhausted. Finally, for the forwards, for the left and right forward specifically, you can just have these guys essentially be your strikers. They're the ones who are going to be scoring most of the goals and getting a good amount of assists. They will be, again, leading the goals, especially because your striker, right, your central striker is going to be on target man, which brings me to him. You know, obviously he will be scoring goals too. He is still a striker, but you know, make sure that he can actually distribute fairly well. So someone like Immobile, someone like Lukaku, who can't dribble that well, who can't distribute well, they're not going to be very good for this position. So that is going to be it for this video, guys. If you do have any questions, let me know. But as I said, this is the anti-meta formation, very attacking, and like I said, you'll probably concede 3, 4, 5 goals a game, but you should be scoring around 10 of them. So either way, you'll be having fun. Hopefully you'll be winning, you'll be scoring lots of goals. But again, if you do have any questions, let me know and I'll try to answer them for you. And like I said, that is going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been DMG. Peace.